Hello and welcome to the Comedy Workshop, a podcast about comedians sitting around and workshopping material. My name is Jack Merrywell. I am the host of the Comedy Workshop. Today's episode is focusing on the comedy stylings of Bene Garcia. Benny is a stalwart of the Kansas City and Lawrence comedy scenes. Very funny man, very funny on stage, very funny in conversation. And I'm running out of stuff to say about him because the motherfucker didn't send me a bio. And that was Shadoe Barton's phone going off.
Sorry.
It's all good. So Benny, thank you for being here and opening your notebooks for us.
You're welcome.
Panelists include Tom Larson and Shadoe Barton, whose phone was... you remember that. You remember when her phone went off. Before? That was Shadoe. That was Shadoe's phone. And before we get started, though, I do have an advertisement from our sponsors. And this week's sponsor is Stevenson's Tombstones. We'll be waiting on you. So, Benny, you want to take it away with a joke for us to workshop?
Yeah, I have some material I've been trying out recently at Mike's. Talk about time travel. Talk about my favorite methods of time travel. Obviously, DeLorean, it's pretty boss. Those magic crystals from Napoleon Dynamite, or any crystals used to power a time machine. Also, a phone booth. Talk about how Bill and Ted, basically got everything right, except they didn't tamper with Jesus. I thought that would have been... because if I could time travel, I would go back to peel Jesus off the cross. And then in the Bible would be like, yay, for there was a Mexican in a jean jacket who came out of the purple ether and saved Christ. The main thing, though, because I wanted to talk about how, my favorite methods of time travel also include the summer I spent interning for a bunch of gypsies who made their own hourglasses and novelty watches. Also, the one time my great-grandma left me her precious sundial in her will, but the only way I could get it was to travel by dog sled from Lawrence, Kansas to Brownville, Texas. And then, so there's that, time travel. Also, I use that to talk about my least favorite methods of time travel, which are whatever the fuck was going on in Donnie Darko, Hermione Granger's Time Turner, but my ultimate, I have two methods of time travel that I hate. The first one is police brutality. that takes us all back to the 1950s.
That's hilarious.
And getting blackout drunk, because it was my worst experience with time travel. Is this one time I got blackout drunk and I woke up in my kitchen and I had 20 pounds of stolen brisket underneath my shirt. And I was just like, not again, or why does this keep happening? So that's where I'm at now. Methods of time travel. I also keep getting, we were at the Gaslight, Who Needs Practice, Gaslight Gardens here in Lawrence with Jack Merrywell, and I did that. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with Harry Proctor. Yeah, Harry Proctor.
Our listeners out on the internet.
Our listeners in the internet.
You guys have probably heard of this guy,
Harry Proctor is an older gentleman that comes to the mics fairly often. But he's like, oh man, my favorite method of time travel is dementia.
In all seriousness, I think that's really funny.
That is fucking hilarious.
I don't think it's a funny line, but I think that's something you can work into the bit, is all the examples of dumbass shit that people have suggested to you after you did the bit on stage.
And then Peter Tamala was like, my favorite method of time travel would probably be like the Terminator, because I often show up naked after I get blackout drunk in random places. But
so I have two notes that I would want to make for that bit. One is when you talk about going back and saving Jesus. I would peel Jesus off. Pretend you did that.
Yeah.
But it turned out, you know how like in kindergarten they have the game where you start out with one story, and then by the time it gets to the end of the class,
telephone.
Telephone. Yeah, that's the name of the game. It's crazy out of proportion. That happened with Jesus. Like, he did get nailed to a piece of wood. It wasn't a crucifix. It's more like, here, you just have to carry this stick around.
Or like everybody got it all wrong, and then through the
He was a carpenter, and he was like pounding a nail into wood. And accidentally, he actually hit himself with the.
That's funny. Another direction I'd like to see that joke go is if it turned out that you got blacked out and woke up with brisket on your shirt, and you had actually traveled the time. The year is 2250. It was my least favorite method of time travel until I realized there had been a brisket crisis. That's how I became the world's first trillionaire.
Yeah. So, yeah, use brisket as currency.
I traded it all, became a trillionaire, returned to my time.
Trillionaire.
Unfortunately,
trillionaire in the future is about making minimum wage now. It's not saying no.
Yeah.
Cool.
Try to take the trillion back, but the serial numbers were not. Yeah, now I'm thinking about the actual logistics, which are not funny.
Oh, the other thing I talk about is like, blah blah blah. I had the brisket, and because I had 20 pounds of brisket, like, and it was like really nice stuff, but I kept it, and then I was like, man, I don't know what to do with this, like. Because I don't know where it came from.
It's hot brisket.
Yeah.
The cops are looking for it. Got an APB out for 20 pounds of brisket.
Yeah.
Ironically enough, though,
it is
after
hot.
after a night under Benny's shirt, it was no longer hot brisket.
No, because I didn't know, like, because first I was like, do I give this to some homeless people? Because I don't, like, I'm a grown ass, Mexican man. I don't want to go door to door being like, hey folks, you missing 20 pounds of brisket? Do you want it back?
You're hoping there'd be like a lost dog poster except with brisket on it. If found, please call.
Yeah, but like the whole shtick is like to like talk about drunk stories too.
Yeah.
Like the time I did a bunch of cocaine and was freestyle rapping, and then I time traveled to a Renaissance fair when I was eating pot muffins, and I accidentally knocked over a 9-year-old child. Which, saying it slowly, just sounds very sad. And not funny.
Child abuse, everyone.
Child abuse. So, yeah.
I time traveled to a Renaissance fair, and for a second I thought I'd gone way further.
Oh, yeah. Oh, or like... I thought I time traveled, and I thought I was time traveled to the Middle Ages. Turns out I was just at a Renaissance fair. Where I knocked over a bunch of small children. Okay, maybe not knocking over children. Yeah. I also wanted to talk about like teleportation. I was talking about earlier, because my favorite method of teleporting is the warp whistle from Super Mario Brothers 3, which Shadoe before the show mentioned. Like, yeah, because it brings in the tornado. So I forgot about that, because only Mario can use a flute as a method of teleportation, and then be like, "Hey, tornado, give me a ride."
It brings in a tornado. Is it? I'm not familiar.
Yeah,
with that,
a whirlwind. It goes.
This might be too mean, but you could say like you were time traveling when you were down in Joplin or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, that was
teleported to Joplin. Circa.
Using the whirlwind whistle.
Yeah, or like because that's what I wanted. That was basically the commentary. Was like my least favorite method of time travel is police brutality, because we go back to the 50s, and then like I don't know, using something that's like racist as a method of time travel. Like every time I walk into a nice department store,
And you get followed.
and I get followed. Not. Let's see here.
What do you have a list of least favorite methods of transportation, right? Or sorry, teleportation.
Yeah, which is basically the same thing. Which would also be basically stories about me getting blackout drunk, and this is a Jack Merrywell exclusive. That I have not talked about on stage, but I've distanced myself enough from it that I feel comfortable talking about it. My least favorite method of teleportation is this one time I got blackout drunk, and then I got blackout drunk, and apparently I'd thrown a brick through the front window or through the side window of Weaver's and stole like $100 worth of pantyhose, and then woke up in jail.
Oh my god.
Least favorite method of teleportation.
That's a good story right there.
Yeah, because it's totally true.
That's awesome.
No, it's not, Jack.
It's pretty awesome.
It is
actually
not
gonna
awesome.
stick to my guns.
Actually,
It's a pretty horrible experience.
Well, a pretty horrible experience that caused me to stop drinking.
Well, but here's the thing. It didn't happen to me,
Didn't
so it's awesome.
That's all.
Did you have pretty big plans for the pantyhose?
No, I don't fucking know. I was.
He was gonna sniff them into very thin strips and begin Merkin production.
Yeah.
I was gonna make a series of jackets. I don't know.
And for those listening to the podcast, listen to the podcast 2 weeks ago to get that reference.
Yeah.
'Cause these are different episodes, but one recording session.
I just imagine that you had like a bunch of onions at your house, and you're like, what do I do with all these onions? And you're like, oh, life hack, you put them in pantyhose and like tie knots to keep them separate and fresh.
What?
You ever seen that?
No.
Yeah.
That's a thing.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah,
He busted the window and stole the pantyhose, so he put them over his head to bust a window in another store. He was gonna bust the window at the ski mask store. You gotta start somewhere. Gotta take a risk.
Oh yeah. And that too, because it would also be what did I need the pantyhose? Because when I was also a funny story, when I was a kid, when I was 14, I guess one of my first forays into comedy, unintentionally, I was 14 years old, and me and my friend were going around different convenience stores, like just stealing stuff, because that's what you do when you're a kid, you steal shit. And I was at one convenience store called Taylor Mart, and you know, I've been taxed because I was like, you steal a bag of chips. You don't want to steal another bag of chips. Anyway, long story short, I stole a can of Spam specifically because I thought it would be funny, and then I got caught.
Oh.
So when when my brother was giving me a ride to the lawyer I had to talk to after I got caught stealing the pantyhose, he just looks at me. He's like, "Damn, bro. Spam and pantyhose."
Well, what I was gonna do, I heard this great method of keeping my Spam fresh.
Yeah.
Which would also be like, and speaking of time travel, took me back to when I was 14.
Yeah, I think a good way to by the way, now to get back to the actual reason we're here.
Yeah.
I think a good way to structure that joke, because I've heard you bring it up on stage, and you just kind of go up and say, some of my favorite methods of time travel are da 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 da, and then you kind of go in. I almost feel like it needs to start with a contextualized story, where you talk about a movie where time travel happens, and say, and that was my fourth favorite method of time travel, or just which is my fourth favorite method. And it's that'd be kind of funny, because you're just revealing that you have a list, an ordered list, and then you can go into this joke about here's the list.
Because I want to do, or I'd be like, you guys remember that movie with Keanu Reeves and that blonde dude, that dude with the blonde perm from The Lost Boys, and then they get that phone booth from George Carlin, and they forget to pick
Rufus.
up. Yeah, Rufus.
I just watched that movie like yesterday.
Yeah, and they forget to pick up Jesus. Yeah, that's my third favorite method of time travel. Something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
That's off the cuff. That sounds fun.
Yeah.
I just want to say,
Or
blonde
just say,
perm, I think.
like,
Which might be better in Shadoe's Merkin bit from 3 weeks ago.
I said 2 weeks ago, you said 3. You got my production schedule all fucked
I
up
don't
now,
know.
Benny.
Time is a mystery.
Time is a mystery.
Speaking of
Let's-
time, my favorite kind of time travel is
Hey, by the way, what the fuck do you have against Hermione's time turner?
I didn't. I
Asshole.
was running out of things to say because I actually like Donnie Darko and Harry Potter. Actually, I did a very hipsterish thing with Donnie Darko. I said I didn't like it for a long time, but I'd never seen it just because I knew a lot of people liked it. And then when I no longer cared about being hip or cool, I watched it and I was like, damn, this is a good ass movie. Donnie Darko, man, it was pretty good. So let's see, what other methods of because there's Terminator was another one that came up as a method of time travel. Peter Tamalo was like, oh, my favorite method of time travel would be like the Terminator and showing up naked in random places after I get a night of drinking.
there's not a lot of I can't really think. There's not a lot of different versions of time travel.
Yeah,
Usually it's a time machine.
Yeah, time machine.
Mr. Peabody's Wayback Machine?
What is? Oh, is that the dog?
Yeah.
That pretentious asshole dog?
Yeah. Isn't that what it was called?
I think so. I don't know, though.
You could another way of time traveling is fly around the Earth. Superman.
Oh yeah, Superman. That's a pretty good one. Let's see. Oh yeah, rotate the Earth.
Relativistic space flight.
Yeah.
Well, because what I wanted to do that nobody, because I was mentioning like literal time and travel. I just, you know what I mean? Like when you think something is hilarious, but it's not registering.
Yeah,
It's like I'm just like, man, that time that I.
Well, and it does seem to jump a gap.
Yeah.
When you bring that up, and it's like the first time I heard that joke, I got what you were going for 4 seconds late for it to be really funny.
Yeah.
I still laughed, and then the joke continued on to be funny, but there's a huge laugh right there that isn't bridged yet.
Yeah. Because I feel like, because I don't want to say like a traveling salesman who sells stopwatches, you know. Don't laugh at that, guys. Because like I was in, you know that thing of like when you're in your kitchen or you're by yourself and you're just like, this is fucking hilarious, and then you bring it up on stage and you're like, and everyone's just like, boo.
I like. By the way, I really like. I think you could dig more into the idea that you wanted to do something honorable with the brisket.
No, I did, but then I just ate it.
No, but like it's
which
funny,
is also true because I just ate it over a 2-week span because at the very least I couldn't just throw it away.
Yeah. Well, it's like, and here's the thing though that is funny to me about that whole thing. Like, if I woke up with a bucket, for all intents and purposes, of stolen brisket, I would feel bad that I stole the brisket, but I wouldn't attempt to find anything to do with it other than put it in my stomach.
Yeah.
By way of my esophagus.
There was also like a container of salad and like a whole cake. Yeah. It was summer 2012, ladies and gentlemen.
Where were you actually?
Yeah.
At that you stole this from?
They had a bakery and a butcher
don't
shop
know?
and
here's what it was.
You just crashed a potluck.
No, it was 2012 and KU had made it to the Final Four, and we just made it to the championship. So like we won our Final Four match, and like if you've ever been around Lawrence when like KU wins a major game like that, it's just like crazy. So I was actually at the replay. That's the last thing I remember, that it was daylight, and I was at the replay, and I woke up, and it was nighttime, and I was in my kitchen, holding myself like this, with like piping hot beef juice running out of my shirt, and just being like, "What? Oh my god!" And so like because I lived in a house with like 5 people, but I didn't I just took off all my clothes right there.
I like to think that you had nothing to drink that night. and then just blacked out on brisket.
Oh, that'd be funny. And like, I hadn't even taken a drink all day.
It's just, I ate so much brisket that I woke up with brisket.
Yeah, I woke up.
No explanation.
Yeah. Never happened to you guys?
Mm-mm.
Blackout. Daylight.
Oh, blackout, but not brisket.
Oh.
No brisket.
That's what makes it special.
Tom's a vegan.
I've had pulled pork.
Pulled pork.
No brisket.
I'm
I
very
woke up
familiar.
with 20 pounds of hummus.
20 pounds of hummus.
Oh man. Yeah. I think too. So those are good. All good suggestions. I like the Jesus stuff. People.
Yeah.
Well, I think we will wrap it up with that. So thank you very much for opening your notebook to us, Benny.
Oh yeah.
Thank you for being here, Tom and Shadoe, and to the internet. Thank you for viewing Comedy Workshop, and that's where I'm talking to you, Zach White. Viewing it alone. Viewing, listening. Goodbye.
Goodbye.